Cool. Should be going. You just wait a sec for it to start, and then we should be good. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so we'll get this going, and then we'll just start talking about what's been happening in Chainlens and that side of things. Sound good? Cool. All
Yeah.
right. So what I'm going to do quickly is just share the link with some of the team as well, so that they can come join in and have a listen, and then we'll kick things off. Cool. All right. So Adewale, do you want to start by talking a little bit about what it is you do on Chainlens?
Hi everyone. So I'm Adewale. I'm one of the team members working on the Chainlens product, like one of the most beautiful explorers out there at the base of what we've been doing so far. And I think we've been releasing a quite number of features, and they've been quite interesting so far. So yes, today I'll mostly be talking about our recent features releases, which are like the real world assets and also live price feeds. So those are the things we've been working on lately. I'll be glad to talk about them.
Yeah, nice. So maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the real world assets. I think that'll be a good place to start for us. So um, how is it that we're supporting them? What,
Yeah, so for a quite number of time now, people have been trying different ways to tokenize real world assets like securities or I think the obvious example would be stable coins, where people have actually tried to peg it against US dollars, but there are so many other use cases that haven't been captured yet, even though we have cases where people have tried to use NFTs to tokenize other assets like real estate. But so far, there are new standards, like especially in the regulatory space, where people actually need to follow compliance rules and all that KYC process to be able to issue securities. So that way we have new token standards, which is the ERC 3643, and that actually is more like a permission token, unlike the current stable coins that we have that are mostly decentralized. Anybody can issue new tokens, ICOs, and all that have been trading in recent times. So this is like a game changer for regulatory bodies and compliant institutions like banks, insurance companies, and all that to actually take advantage of the blockchain to issue tokens, to issue securities, and to ensure that people that actually own those tokens are compliant. So for on Chainlens part, we are able to actually uh, integrate these the standard into our system and our services, such that when we actually ingest or identify these transactions on the blockchain, we are able to decode everything that is associated with this specific standard and show them on the Explorer. So we actually have a category for them on the Explorer where we can actually separate real world asset tokens from other kind of tokens. So that way we can actually see what those tokens are, the names, the transactions, and all events that actually happen within those tokens.
so what I've shared on the screen is just the ERC 3643 specific standard, which is one that's been used for real world assets. And I guess with our work, we've been basing it on this specific Ethereum improvement proposal.
Yes, so for what we've done so far is we know there are so many other token standards that are currently being used for real world assets, but this is actually targeting the actual uh, like the particular tokens that actually replicate the standard real world assets. So it's not as if people are trying to improvise to create contracts or NFTs to represent real world assets in real estate or in finance. But in this case, they actually are actually replicate what actually happens in the traditional finance and bring it, take advantage of the blockchain to make them happen and more available to the general public. So think about a case where people from other countries can tap into US securities, provided they are compliant, provided they pass certain rules, we are able to detect those particular transactions, the contracts, and identify the tokens that are compliant with this standard and identify them as real world assets in the Chainlens Explorer.
Sweet. And so maybe that's a good segue into showing what this stuff looks like in Chainlens. Did you want to show it on your screen, or should I drive from mine here?
I think you can try from your end.
Okay. So if I head over to our Holski Chainlens instance, where we can see, make this a little bit bigger so we get the full kind of experience there. And I guess we've got this new tab, the menu item, sorry, that's appeared in the Explorer now.
So in the menu item, if you see here, we actually uh, have a new menu item for reward assets. Once you click that, it should show you a couple of different reward assets, tokens that were deployed in the past while running a test on our platform. Because this is OSKI Ethereum public testnet. So you can see some sample token by their names. You can tell they're actually related to some uh, reward securities, for instance, the Apple stock. And you can see the contract type is actually different from the usual contract type we supported at the moment, which is the ERC20, 721, 1155 other contract. But here we actually capture that before we actually declare this token, we ensure that it's fully compliant with ERC 3643 standard by we not only go through the documentation, the code, I mean the smart contract, we actually ensure that all the transfer, the functions and events actually matches what we have in the standard defined. So we're able to identify these particular token types. So if you click on, say, Apple stock, for instance, uh,
This one?
yes, you should be able to see a couple of transactions that, like the token transfers that happen between different accounts over a period of time, and also a main transaction from the Apple stock to an address. You could see how the transaction actually moved from on the two uh, destination. So in the real scenario, how that would typically work on according to this standard will be for this process to actually happen, both the receiver and the sender needs to be fully compliant. They need to pass through a set of validation that has been set on at the contract level. So that way, if that is successful between the issuer and the receiver, that's when the transfer will be carried out. So these transfers are actually token ERC20 token transfers, your transfers from one account to another, or your regular transfer. So, but before this can happen, a set of rules needs to be passed. So that's why we see these transactions. Apart from that, if you check the transaction tab, you can also trace how some of these transactions happen to be from the transfers to the mint operation. So in the function, you can see uh, how the transfers will happen from the time the contract was created and see the mint operations. Then in other contract type, we can tell, like, because the standard has a couple of other functions where we can maybe pause, transfer, set certain rules, define new rules. But uh, because of the way we can decode or interact with this contract, we are able to decode those functions like the freeze, name, identity registry, and all these other functions that are associated with this particular token. So when these transactions happen, we're also able to decode the information and also make it available to the users in a more human readable format. So they don't just see hexadecimal details, but see the actual name and actual name of the function and what is actually happening. So far we've been able to do that, but one thing we'll likely be able to do in the future will be to be able to actually go in deep into some of the other contracts, like the compliance and the registry for contracts, to actually read more information about that, because there are so many other things happening behind the scene when these transactions are being carried out. So we'll be able to decode those uh, contract information, like the internal transactions that are happening, and then apart from that, we'll then be able to make other information available to the user, because a scenario would be a case where I try to transfer funds to a user, but due to compliance reasons, the transaction couldn't go through, so the transaction will fail. So we're looking at a situation where we should be able to figure out the reason why it failed, extract that information, and make it available at the transaction level. So that's some of the things we're looking at.
Cool. And then just to kind of show some of those other methods, because of course we're only showing like a subset in these transactions here, but if we look at the actual specification for the ERC 3643 standard, we can see there that we've got all of these different events and a read and write or getters and setters for the actual implementation there, which will be supported for any compliant contracts that are aligned with the standard. I guess the other thing too is we've got this this neat little new icon as well for these real world asset tokens as well.
Yeah, so this is another example of real asset sample contracts with default. So we are able to show more. Um, we're able to show more details about some contracts, like the actions that are actually being carried out when you set the on-chain ID, for instance, or you're setting the compliance or identity registry. Those information can be tracked at the moment on Chainlens, so we can see everything in a transparent manner as they happen on the Explorer, sorry, on the blockchain.
Very nice. And presumably as well, where we have the actual, we look at the specific contract views too, we have the ability to search for those specific contracts as well, so we can easily pull them out from this place too, alongside all the other supported types like proxy contracts and so on as well.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. So that's, I guess, is the RWA support that we've added to Chainlens. But then the other thing that I guess we're working on right now is price feed information too. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've been trying to add now will be to provide real-time price feeds to users whenever they, especially when they interact or view contract information, token information, whether it's fungible or non-fungible tokens, or even the real-world assets compliant tokens. They should be able to view. They should be able to view the market information in real time as they happen. So we are having that, and that will be available to the public once we roll that out. But the plan will be to be able to show the specific contract information about these tokens, the market capitalization, the diluted volumes, and other important market information even the logo, for instance. So currently we have like a different way to identify different type of contracts or accounts when we click them. So right now we have for fungible tokens we have like a generic icon for them. But in this case, they will all be updated provided the logo information is available on the third party data third party provider we use. So that way we show like real information about these tokens and people are able to separate original tokens from fake tokens on the blockchain.
Cool. And so with this new feature, is it possible to show people a preview at the moment so they get an idea of what it will actually look like?
Yeah. Okay, sorry, give me a minute. Let me restart. Okay, it's coming now. I'm trying to load the platform. How do I share my screen? Yeah, okay. So, screen.
So this is just a preview of what's
Yeah,
to come.
exactly. So, can you see my screen?
Yeah, looking good.
Yeah. So as I was explaining earlier, we have like generic tokens that we currently use for to identify tokens from NFTs and from custom contracts that have been deployed. But right now that we've added the integration to get market and price feeds in real time, we're able to also retrieve the specific icons that are associated with this individual token. So we can see the book of Ethereum, we can see the related icons, the study token, the TUSD, Shiba, RAB, and all that. They all have their associated uh, logo with them. So if you click any of these tokens, like DAI for instance, we should be able to see the yeah, we still see the logo here. Then we have the market information in this particular section where you can see the total circulating supply of DAI, the volume aside the last 24 hours, and the price increase in the last 24 hours can be seen here. So most times when you are within the Chainlens platform, you don't necessarily need to start looking at uh, third-party websites to retrieve specific information from the from for a particular token. So right now, if you are actually interacting with a token, you have the experience to view and the opportunity to view specific market data. So these are like the basic ones we offer right now. But as we iterate over this, we're going to release more useful information about real-time market data.
Awesome. So we have just all of these metrics that just show the on-chain activity, but kind of so people can actually understand trading activity as well for some of these tokens and their pricing information in fiat currencies and these sorts of things.
Yes. So that's how it works at the moment. We currently provide this, but there are so many other things we can add at the moment that will be releasing in future iterations.
Yeah, awesome. Yes, an exciting new feature anyway for us to be rolling out, and I guess then also around the corner, not long after that, we'll do something similar for NFTs too.
Yes. So that will be the next plan to be able to even retrieve additional value. Right now we have NFT information on the way. Sorry, I'm working on a local host, so you might be experiencing.
So the demo gods are all definitely in full effect.
Yeah. So we might be providing real time value about NFTs, the holdings, the current supply, and specific information about this, about a particular NFT. Let me see what I can use as an example. So specific information about, okay, this is an NFT. This is a proxy. Let me use linear as an example. So if we retrieve specific NFTs like linear, we will be able to see how the token is actually being traded in real time, the current bid values, the last bid offer, another bidding information about the NFT, and also some unique traits about the NFTs can be seen here at the moment. Okay, this NFT doesn't have traits, but in other NFTs that have traits, we will be able to see those traits and attributes here. But once we have the market data integrated, we will provide more rich information about specific NFT, provided they are publicly available on public marketplaces. So that's something we have in the pipeline.
Sweet, awesome. So it's definitely an exciting time in terms of these upcoming features for Chainlens as well, which it's going to be cool for people to be able to see. So if I guess people will have to wait to see the price feed information, but if they want to be able to learn more about the real world asset support, you can get a sneak preview over at the Holski instance, which I shared on the chat. But then when the price data comes, it's likely that will appear in our linear instance initially. And so if you want to check out the linear instance and just see what's happening there, we can you can head to the URL which I'm sharing on the chat too. Yes, I'll just add it on. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let's just put that ahead there. Okay, awesome. All right. Well, I think that kind of wraps up in terms of what we wanted to cover in this update. But yeah, a lot of new features coming with Chainlens, and Adewale, thank you for thank you for talking us through these things, and we'll definitely have you back on again to talk about the updates that we've got once they're live as well.
Thank you very much for having me. I'll be glad to answer more questions and also
Cool.
clarify other things.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Adewale, and thanks everyone for tuning in.